Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video lecture, we will see WDM components, optical time division multiplexing. In that, we will see subcarrier multiplexing, then bandwidth demand, then DWDM and its structure, and DWDM network topologies. So let us start with first point, WDM components. If WDM technology is to be used, then naturally modern optical components need to be used in the fiber optic communication. It is obvious that multiplexers that combine all the outputs of many transmitters and launch the combined signal into an optical fiber. Second, the demultiplexers which split this combined signal into individual paths directed to different receivers. Then star couplers that couple the output of transmitters to multiplex receivers, and tunable filters to filter out specific wavelengths. Okay, so in this figure we can see the implementation of a typical WDM network. Okay, so here the WDM components are: the first is tunable optical filters, second demultiplexers, and third multiplexers. The first component is tunable optical filters. They select the desired channel at the receiver. The tunable optical filters must have wide range of maximize the number of channels that can be selected. Second, the tunable optical filters should have less crosstalk to avoid interference from adjacent channel. Third, small insertion loss. And fourth, fast tuning speed that minimizes the axis time. Also, the tunable optical filters should have low cost and stability against temperature, humidity, etc. So, a Fabry-Perot interferometer acts as a tunable optical filter when its length is controlled by a transducer. The tunable Fabry-Perot filters are also made with liquid crystals and semiconductors waveguides. Micromechanical tuning is also used with indium aluminum gallium arsenide based Fabry-Perot filters. These filters having tuning range of 40 nanometer with a narrow bandwidth in 1550 nanometer region. The grating based filters use grating like DFB laser technology. Okay, so the third component is demultiplexers. They require a wavelength selective mechanism, and we know that the selective mechanism can be of two types. The first is diffraction based multiplexers, and second interference based demultiplexers. Okay, so in a grating based demultiplexers, we can see in this figure the WDM signal, that is lambda 1, lambda 2 plus lambda 3, is focused on that silicon grating, and the Bragg diffraction from the grating separates them and focus them into individual fibers as lambda 1, lambda 2 and lambda 3. Okay, so here we can replace this conventional lens also. In the second diagram, the grating based demultiplexers using graded index lens, we can see instead of using lens we can use here graded index lens. So again the lambda 1 plus lambda 2 plus lambda 3 is focused on that graded index lens, and the grating separates them into the individual terms, that is lambda 1, lambda 2 and lambda 3. Okay, third component is multiplexers. The multiplexers used in WDM are called add drop multiplexers. They have optical switches for dropping or adding channels. The demultiplexer separates all the channels. The optical switches choose the channels by dropping and adding them. The multiplexer combine the signals. Here star couplers are used for distributing a single input signal to multiple outputs. We can use amplifier for the amplification in WDM. Okay, the next point is optical isolator and circulator. A Faraday's isolator is a kind of optical isolator, that is, it is a device which transmits light in a certain direction while blocking light in the opposite direction. The Faraday isolators are based on Faraday rotators and constitute the technologically most important types of optical isolators. A variant is an optical circulator, which is having at least 3 optical ports. Light injected into port first will exit at port 2, and while input at port 2 will be sent to port 3, and input at port 3 to port 1. So an optical isolator is a passive device that allows the flow of optical signal power in only one direction, preventing reflections in the back. The optical power is taken for a particular wavelength or band of wavelength. Ideally, the isolator must transmit all the power in the desired direction. Second, there should not be any material imperfections to avoid backward reflections. Third, insertion loss and isolation limits the device to transmit optical power from source to destination. Okay, so the optical isolator is a device which transmits the power in only one direction. Okay, or we can say transmit the light in only one direction. Next is to study circulator. When the optical path of the signal follows a closed loop or a circle in a device, then it is called as circulator. The circulator can be made from the isolators. When isolators are connected together to form multi-port devices where, depending upon their isolation characteristics, then an optical signal either leaves the end terminal or flows towards next connected isolator, or it takes the cell. Next is the optical time division multiplexing. As we know, the TDM is normally performed in electrical domain, but it becomes difficult to attain high bit rates for optical communication. So OTDM, or optical time division multiplexing, can increase the bit rate above 1 terabit per second. Okay, so let us see here point subcarrier multiplexing. It is divided into two types. The first is analog subcarrier multiplexing system, and the second digital subcarrier multiplexing. So in a LAN and MAN, the number of channel is large and the requirement for bit rate is low. So subcarrier multiplexing has microwave carriers over coaxial cables or optical carrier. Instead of using optical carriers, microwave subcarriers are used for multiplexing. The bandwidth is below 1 GHz if multi-channels microwave signal is sent over coaxial cable, but if microwave signal is sent using optical fiber, then bandwidth can be made larger up to 10 GHz. We can see in this figure subcarrier multiplexing. Multiple microwave subcarriers are modulated, and composite electrical signal is used to modulate an optical carrier at a transmitter TX. Okay, so this subcarrier multiplexing have certain advantages. They are, the first advantage is that this multiplexing is very flexible. Second, it can be upgraded into broadband networks. Third advantage is that the analog or digital modulations can be used in that type of subcarrier system. The fourth is combination of analog and digital can be used to send voice, data, video signals to many users. And last, multi-channel signal is used in CATV. Okay, so in analog subcarrier multiplexing, each subcarrier is modulated using analog format. Then the output of all subcarriers is summed in a combiner, and the composite signal is used to modulate the intensity of laser by changing its bias current. Then the figure of merit is carrier to noise ratio, that is CNR, instead of signal to noise ratio for the analog subcarrier multiplexing. Okay, so the analog signal gets distorted during its travel in the fiber, and the distortion is called intermodulation distortion. Both amplitude modulation and frequency modulation techniques can be used for analog subcarrier multiplexing fiber optic system. Okay guys, I think it is clear to you. The next point is to study DWDM. Attenuation and dispersion problems in fiber limit, the practical speed and distance of communication. Next is DWDM. The attenuation and dispersion problems in fiber limit the practical speed and distance of communication. They were partially resolved use of the erbium doped fiber amplifier, that is EDFA, eliminating problems caused by attenuation. Because of the dispersion, there is always a compromise between transmission distance and bandwidth, making it necessary to use optoelectronic repeaters. This solution is very expensive due to the additional cost of high-speed electronics and maintaining. A better solution is to use dense wavelength division multiplexing, that is DWDM, which effectively increases the usable bandwidth in a system without electronic repeaters. The DWDM stands for dense wavelength division multiplexing. Here, dense means the wavelength channels are very narrow and close to each other. For 100 GHz dense WDM, the interval between adjacent channels are only 100 GHz, or we can say 0.8 nanometer. For example, the adjacent channel could be 1530.33 nanometer, then second 1531.12 nanometer, and 1531.90, that is 90 nanometer. So here we can see the wavelength channels are very narrow. The DWDM are widely used for the 1550 nanometer band so as to help the capabilities of EDFA. EDFAs are commonly used for the frequency for the wavelength range 1525 nanometer to 1565 nanometer. The dense wavelength division multiplexing is an important innovation in optical networks and provides many benefits. There are several protocols and architecture that uses the optical network, and there is a need for faster physical layer technology in order to implement 1, 10, 100 gigabit per second networks. So the problem with plain optical network is that the most commonly installed fiber optic doesn't support this bandwidth over a distance of more than 500 meters due to physical effect. So the DWDM increases the bandwidth and the distance problems by using the current optical networks. So the increasing bandwidth demand is due to applications like video, music transferring, multimedia interactions, live TV, internet and other digital services. The explosion in demand for network bandwidth is also due to the growth in data traffic, specifically internet protocol. This is largely because of the 30% growth per year in internet traffic, while the traditional voice traffic grows at a compound annual rate of only about 30%. Okay, so here we can see the rapidly change in the bandwidth demand. In a DWDM networks, it will work combining and transmitting multiple signals simultaneously on the same fiber in a dense wavelength grid. It combines multiple optical signals to one single fiber in order to amplify the transmission and to increase its bandwidth capacity. The DWDM technology offers many key benefits, such as the DWDM can allowing the transmission of email, videos, multimedia, data and more. It is possible to use signals in a different rate and in different format like SONET, SDH, IP, Ethernet and more. Large amount of information can be transferred with the help of DWDM. It can handle high bit rates and which is having lower cost. The optical network consists of lasers and optical fibers. Increasing the number of lasers will increase the bit rate. So all the lasers send their light to the optical fiber at the same time, and in order to distinguish between the sources, each flasher has its own color which is of different wavelength. In this way, the received information in the other end of the network can be separated to its original. Okay, so with this latest technology, individual lasers can transmit at 10 gigabit per second. We know that the combination of several wavelengths together on the same fiber is called as multiplexing, and the separation called demultiplexing. In order to detect a specific wavelength, a specific light detector is needed. So in this figure we can see the multiplexer and demultiplexer. The wavelength of light usually vary around 1550 nanometer, because in this wavelength the loss and the attenuation is considered to be very low, and from a quality of service standpoint, DWDM enables response to protocol changes. Okay, so after that let us see what are the different components which are required for DWDM. The first is transmitters, second receivers, third EDFA, fourth add and drop, fifth DWDM multiplexers, and last DWDM demultiplexers. So in transmitters, a laser that transmits data with a very accurate wavelength. Each laser is configured to transmit in a certain wavelength. At the receiver, the components that receive the signal and transmit them into a demultiplexer side. Then EDFA, erbium doped fiber amplifier, the optical repeater device that amplifies the optical signal. Basically it is a silica based optical fiber that is doped with erbium that boosts the power of the wavelength. Next we required here add and drop component, the components that receive a fiber optic with some wavelength multiplexed and can drop or add a certain lambda from or to the signal. Okay, next component is DWDM multiplexers. Receive many optical signals, each one is a different wavelength, and transmit the entire wavelength in one optic fiber. Next is DWDM demultiplexer. It is used to receive all the signals in one optic fiber and transmit each wavelength in a different fiber. So this diagram shows that, here we can see one diagram. This will shows that each wavelength transmitted by the laser is inserted into the multiplexer. The multiplexer combines all the signal from the different fibers into one signal in the optical fiber. Then the optical fiber can be inserted to an add and drop, which can take a certain lambda to its channel or add a certain lambda from the channel. It can move through EDFA for amplifying the signal, and at the end of the channel it is inserted to a demultiplexer that separate the different wavelengths into different optic fibers. Okay, so friends, the DWDM system structures consist of transmitters, receivers, EDFA, add and drop, DWDM multiplexers, and DWDM demultiplexers. Okay. Next point is a DWDM network topology. The topology of a DWDM net can be mesh, star, or ring. The logical topology is arbitrary. The DWDM networks can be defined as a single hop networks or multi-hop networks. In a single hop, each data stream gets the same color all over the path, that is from the source to the destination, and therefore there is no need in electrical interference. Okay, but in multi-hop, each node has a limited number of lambdas, therefore there is a need in reuse of wavelength, and that's why there is a need in electronic switching of the packets in the intermediate nodes. Since there are some other protocols on top of the physical layer in the protocol stack, there is a need for interconnect layer. This layer is called as optical layer, which will define some information like addressing each node in the network, which has an address that describes it, or the quality of service, that is QoS. In order to ensure the QoS, many DWDM network architectures are required as many wavelengths as nodes. So the example of implementation of topology using the physical and above stack can be shown in this diagram. This architecture is called as roundabouts. We can see in this figure all sources that needs to transmit to the same destination share the same channel. The MAC protocol that defines this method is called as synchronous round robin with reservation. The number of lambdas that can be transmitted over a fiber optics is defined as the channel spacing and the data direction. Since the optic fibers can transmit in both directions, the DWDM system can be unidirectional or bidirectional. In a unidirectional, all wavelengths move in the same direction. This is nothing but simplex transmitting. And in bidirectional, the channel of the DWDM fiber is divided into two separate wavelength bands, one for each direction. I hope guys you will like our today's session. We stop here with motivational quote, and today's motivational quote for you is: forget your past, forgive yourself, and begin again right now. Thank you for watching my videos.